Hello everybody, welcome to Ageless Rock channel. Today we're going to check out Pasargade archaeological site in Iran as a continuation of my previous video I did on Tomb of Cyrus the Great. But first, you must wear your megalithic lens and see if this monument is really what archaeologists say it is, or there is mystery yet to be solved. Iran is a big country. At approximately 1.6 million square kilometers, it is about half the size of India on the east, which is approximately 3.2 million square kilometers, and slightly overlaps the Fertile Crescent of ancient Mesopotamia on the west. In the middle of these two great civilizations, we have Pasargade archaeological site. Today, we are going to check out another mysterious monument because it totally escaped history despite being so unique and a masterpiece. Archaeologists have their versions, but they change over time and they are not 100% sure. For example, Tomb of Cyrus the Great was Tomb of Solomon's mother and also likely was a Zoroastrian temple. Whose tomb or whose temple has yet to be determined beyond a shadow of a doubt. Let's start with this megalithic structure loosely known as Stone Tower, which currently archaeologists say it was probably tomb of Cambyses I, who was the father of Cyrus the Great. No record or document about Cambyses I survived. The knowledge about him largely comes from a Greek historian by the name Herodotus. In order to know what this structure looked like, we have to look at the cube of Zoroaster at Naqsh-e-Rustam archaeological site, which is so similar in architecture and design that they are called twin towers. Tomb of Cambyses I is described as 14 meters tall, while cube of Zoroaster is described as 12 meters from the base of the building or 14 meters from the base of the platform. This structure is made up of finely cut white limestone blocks. They are all stacked perfectly without mortar. The precision cut is so perfect that every stone has no gap. If these are done with today's technology, I can imagine they are machine cut. But to say ancient Persians did this with chisels and hammers is something that sounds just as mythical as fairy tales. The vertical rectangular niches seem to be there as a design, but it also has an optical illusion effect. It made the structure looks like there are many stones laid horizontally. But when I try to look at the stones joined side by side, I think I can safely say there is only one as shown in the yellow box. The one in the white box looks a bit wavy in close-up and might be a crack rather than a precision cut. Is it possible that ancient Persians were only interested in the most challenging way to build a structure we don't even know for sure what it is today? I can imagine the level of difficulty in dragging the stones from an unknown quarry and lifting about 6 huge stones weighing several tons each. Everything about this monument is either mysterious or baffling. If you look closely, you can see that there are many mysterious rectangular holes which shouldn't be there, but yet there are plenty to basically deface the otherwise perfect creation of a superstructure. Archaeologists praise the ancient Persians as highly skillful and hardworking, but never explain why they put these random rectangular holes. Look at the ruins that expose the actual blocks. These are not just rectangular stones made in mass quantity, but rather custom-made them. They are perfect 90-degree angles and they are polygonal in shape. This is a nightmare for stonemasons because any mistake will render the entire block useless. Logically, it is easier to build with mostly same size and smaller blocks because it is easier for stacking. I would think there were plenty of discarded blocks to be recycled into smaller pieces which can be used for their own houses. These super awesome masons must have their own properties made of stones, or at the very least, the rich and noble would like their houses to be of that quality too. But instead, archaeologists were busy excavating mud brick buildings around the area. This structure is a solid 8 meters of masonry before they work on a single chamber. It is like a hollow cube on a solid cuboid. Archaeologists tend to see any megalithic monument with a hole as a tomb. But to me, the stairs and an entrance, which typically means something you can access on a regular basis, is hardly the feature of a tomb. If it was a temple, Zoroastrians of Persia would have told us they built this, and it won't be just two in the entire world. If Persians built this as a temple, it would have been a fire temple because in Zoroastrianism, fire is part of a purity ritual. If that was the reason this was constructed, there would be no reason why Persians stopped using it. Whoever destroyed this would have been known at least verbally. As for me, I know it was done by the mysterious unknown ancient builders because the rectangular holes say so. Some even call this Tomb of Cambyses II. Whether it is Tomb of Cambyses I or Cambyses II or a fire temple or just a stone tower for fun, we all can agree that it is a tower way too advanced for its time. It is a larger than needed precision cut megaton blocks surrounded by mud brick properties. If you visit this site in the 19th century, Jackson Williams would testify that the locals will tell you this monument is Solomon's prison. It just goes to show you how little even the locals know about this splendid work of masonry. It does not reflect Persian architecture. It is an art piece that stands out on its own. It has no religious carvings or inscriptions. Some even call this monument Tomb of Cambyses, which is the name of Cambyses in ancient Persian. If you dive into the etymology of this word, it gets slightly more complicated. Cambyses is associated with Cambodia, which is a group of Iranian in the northwest of India. Hindus in India also practices fire rituals called Homa. Another interesting fact is that a legendary sage from South India by the name Kambu lived in a kingdom named after him as Cambodia. This name subsequently became Cambodia. Hinduism spread from India heading eastward and influenced most of Southeast Asia. Indonesia was a Hindu country for many centuries and there are many megalithic temples in Java Island. For this video, I would like to highlight Sewu Temple in Java, which you can check it out under my Indonesia playlist. It is approximately 7,400 kilometers apart, but yet they have one thing in common. If you put these two photos side by side, you might not see the uncanny similarity. They look like normal entrances of a structure where the one in Java Island is called a temple and the one in Iran is still unknown. But in a close-up view, the one in Sewu Temple is like several rows of horizontal niches, which I loosely call them gear track marks. The lower portion seems pretty random, but the upper portion is quite clear. You can see 3 rows. The overall impression of the facade with all these niches seems to show a similar idea. I cannot say they are the same, but the niches in polygonal blocks on the walls appear to have the same architect. Mainstream archaeology is always looking for tombs, temples and palaces because it seems like ancient people were busy hacking bedrock for only 3 things to build. So this pile of stone blocks at Naqsh-e-Rustam is a tomb since it is believed to be a necropolis. But they are not sure if it is for Cambyses I or II. I think the locals recycle the stone into something else because they don't know what it was for. If that is true, then it is unlikely a tomb for someone great. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this short presentation on Tomb of Cambyses I, which I think will be something else anytime from now. See you in the next video and have a wonderful day. This is Berniong signing out. Khoda Hafiz.